What happens when a president promises to solve a major international crisis within hours of taking office and then doesn't? What if that same president's behavior, decisions, and words make people wonder if they're living in an alternate reality? Could a leader who appears to sleep through his own inauguration ceremony really lead the country? And what about the comedic relief that comes from his every misstep? From church services to disaster relief, let's break down a series of events that involve Donald Trump, Jimmy Kimmel, and the increasingly strange political landscape Trump helped shape. The reality of Trump's first day in office was far from the grand promises he made. While he said he would resolve the Ukrainian crisis on his first day in office, 1,459 days later, not much has changed. In fact, it's hard to even pinpoint a moment where Trump's claims about ending the war seem credible. So, did he keep his word? Of course not. But why would he resign, right? Instead, we watched him doze off during a church service, a moment that would only add to the growing list of baffling situations involving the former president. But let's pause. What does this say about leadership, and how did it spark such widespread ridicule? Jimmy Kimmel, for example, doesn't hold back when it comes to poking fun at Trump. In a world where Trump loves to make bold, often outrageous claims, Kimmel brings razor-sharp humor to the table. Kimmel's bit about Trump, who loves the Lord, became viral material after Trump struggled with reciting the Lord's Prayer, a moment that can only be described as surreal. Imagine Trump, known for loving everything from the Bible to church services, somehow couldn't manage the prayer that most religious leaders and their congregations know by heart. It wasn't the first time Kimmel had gone after Trump, and it certainly wouldn't be the last. Trump, it seems, has an uncanny ability to provide endless material for comedians, from his supposed Bible sales to his self-proclaimed title as the Lord's Chosen One. Kimmel's commentary on the situation cuts straight to the heart of the matter. Trump, being a stable genius, is anything but stable in his actions. From his awkward church behavior to his political stances, it's hard to take his claims seriously when they're so out of touch with reality. Kimmel's comedy routine had the audience in stitches, but it also served to highlight the absurdity of a political figure who, while boasting of his genius, fails at the most basic tasks, such as reciting a simple prayer. What's even more amusing is that Trump appeared unfazed when a reporter asked him about the church service afterward. His response, "It was not too exciting," a statement that raised even more eyebrows. Imagine, after attending a service dedicated to honoring him, Trump's takeaway is a lack of excitement. But that's not even the kicker. Trump's disdain for anything even remotely resembling a challenge has become a running joke, particularly his response to criticism. When asked for his opinion, he doesn't shy away from expressing dissatisfaction, but his disinterest in a ceremony meant to honor him left many puzzled. Is this the kind of leader America needed? Kimmel's jokes didn't stop at the church service. He also took aim at the broader political climate, particularly the way Trump's actions are perceived by the public. It's hard to ignore the way Kimmel parodied Trump's stance on the Lord's Prayer and his Bible sales, exposing the discrepancy between the president's image and his actual behavior. Meanwhile, the audience couldn't help but laugh at the farcical situation of a president who claims to be a devout Christian but can't manage the most basic aspects of religious practice. Yet, in the midst of all the humor, there's a deeper sense of disappointment and frustration. Kimmel's jokes weren't just about making people laugh. They also gave voice to the collective feeling of disillusionment many people felt with Trump's leadership. After all, how could anyone take a man seriously when his actions seem to contradict everything he claims to stand for? His religious claims and his inability to perform simple tasks only served to highlight the growing divide between his image and his actual leadership. As if this wasn't enough, Kimmel also mocked Trump's political decisions, particularly his controversial stance on deportation. Trump's stance on immigration has long been a contentious issue, but Kimmel took it to new heights, suggesting that Trump only liked masks when they were followed by the word deportation. The humor was sharp, yet there was a biting truth behind it. Trump's policies have often been deeply divisive, and Kimmel was simply amplifying the frustrations many Americans felt. And then there was the issue of women in positions of power, which was another subject Kimmel gleefully dissected. Trump's disdain for women in certain roles became apparent when a bishop delivering a sermon failed to live up to his expectations. This, of course, was more fodder for Kimmel's comedy. who joked that the bishop had no business bringing the teachings of Jesus into the church. The humor here wasn't just about a church service gone wrong. It was a reflection of the broader issues of gender and power that have played out throughout Trump's presidency. Things only got more bizarre when Kimmel turned his attention to Trump's history of dismissing important historical figures like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The irony of Trump's inauguration taking place on MLK Day wasn't lost on Kimmel, who raised the question of whether Dr. King would have been pleased with what Trump stood for. This subtle jab was just one example of Kimmel's ability to blend humor with political critique, shedding light on the moral contradictions that surrounded Trump's presidency. But even amidst all the laughter, there's an unsettling realization. Trump's behavior often seemed to be more about creating chaos than providing solutions. His promises to make America great again now seem like hollow words. When we consider the impact of his decisions, whether it's the lack of progress on key issues or the continued divisiveness of his policies, it's hard to see Trump's actions as anything other than a series of failed promises. And as Kimmel put it, facts are Trump's deadliest enemy. In the end, Trump's presidency was marked by confusion, contradiction, and a constant back and forth between grand promises and actual outcomes. His leadership style may have been unconventional, but it also exposed the fragility of his claims and the growing dissatisfaction among the American people. Despite the constant barrage of jokes and ridicule, it's hard to shake the feeling that there's more at play than just the humor of a late-night comedian. Trump's tenure was a reminder of how fragile the American political system can be, especially when it's led by someone who continually undermines the very values that the nation was built upon. And so, as we look back at the strange spectacle of Trump's presidency, we're left to wonder, how did we get here? And what does it say about us as a country that we allowed such a bizarre and chaotic leader to take charge? Perhaps, in the end, the only answer is that America's journey through the Trump era was a wild, unpredictable ride, one that still has people shaking their heads, wondering what's next.